This leads us to an interesting question, which is, should you split maybe the data grid? Should you have multiple data grids? And well, this seems to defeat the purpose, the initial purpose of the architecture. But let me posit one interesting idea. What if instead of having a single data grid, what we would have is we take the domain model, we identify the bounded contexts, and then we split into data grids based on two criteria. One criteria is domain boundaries, and the other criteria is security. So we end up with a larger grid with multiple grids instead of a single data grid, which could prove to be a challenge. But what we have is now a cleaner separation and better security. All in all, it's hard to say. It's hard to say whether this is a good idea because this is more complicated than the initial model. It leads to some additional challenges because you need to manage multiple instances of the data grid. You need to somehow synchronize the data. It helps if you are using the domain boundaries because that data will anyway be somehow denormalized. That's the whole idea with bounded context. You'll have duplicate or data that looks like duplicates, but it's actually the same entity in a different context. So that helps, but you have additional challenges with the data grid. And if you start in this way, then it's a bit more challenging. It's getting closer to microservices. Not as difficult, but closer. However, there's the reverse cost. What if you realize at some point that you need to split the data grid in two? Well, now you have a challenge because let's assume you have now hundreds of processing units and you want to make this split. You need to change at least half of them in order to ensure that they are accessing the new data grid. So it's getting a bit more complicated. Now,